If you're considering buying a used E90 series BMW, check out this video. I'm going to give you 10 things you need to know after owning my E92 328i for the last 4 months, starting right now. Alright, some of you may have seen I did a video when I first bought this car about the 10 reasons I decided to purchase it, but after owning it for a few months I wanted to do an update. So in this review I'm going to do kind of my normal review process where I go through 10 things that I think you might want to know. Let's start with number 10. The coupe has a unique front and rear bumper. It looks different. The way that they do the side doors, where the doors extend below the body line panels on the side, I think it gives it a unique look. It's something really subtle, classic BMW. And so the E92 comes with a little bit of a different look than the normal coupe. The coupe has a couple different versions of the front and back bumper that kind of give it a sportier look or a classier look. And so I really like the exterior. As you can see, I've added the roof rack. If you're considering getting a roof rack, it wasn't too hard. Mine actually came with it when I bought the car, but it didn't include the special BMW key that you have to put it on. You can buy a whole kit. I ended up buying 4 bolts and the key from BMW of San Francisco for like $15. They sell them on Amazon. And so if you're considering getting one of those roof racks, make sure you get the BMW key that works with the specific bolt that they have. All right, number 9, if you're considering the coupe, keep in mind that you get that sport suspension standard with the coupe. So if you're getting the sedan, you're going to have to make sure that you have the sport suspension as an option, because it doesn't come with all the sedans, whereas it does come with all the coupes. I think the suspension is what makes this car. It runs on rails. It's so much fun to drive because the steering feel is so crisp and connected. I love driving it. And so keep in mind, if you're looking for that crisp feel BMW driving experience, get that sport suspension. All right, number 8. I'm going to get in the back to show you, but overall, the back seat doesn't have a lot of room, and with the coupe, you're just going to have difficulty getting in and out. I'm going to jump back there right now. As you can see, the back seat does have plenty of room, although not a lot of headroom for a smaller adult or a kid. I don't recommend getting the coupe if you have kids, unless it's an extra car or something like that, simply because it's not easy to get in and out of. It's quite annoying. If you're in a parking lot spot, it's actually really difficult to get out of the back seat. And so if you're considering an E90 series and you want the coupe, I would not do it if you have more than one passenger. So overall, I do like the coupe, but it is not effective as a people mover, and I don't use it that way. I just use it as a commuter. So number 7, let's talk about the interior. So I drive a lot of cars. As you can see, I've reviewed several dozen this year, and I still think, given 2019 cars, this 2011 BMW interior is fantastic. It's made of high quality materials. The metal and black contrast each other. They look sporty. For its age, it definitely has some mild scratching and some other things. But overall, the leatherette seats almost look brand new. They're very durable. They're easy to clean. The instrument cluster is nice. It's organized well. It's easy to figure out. I do have some gripes about the AC system, but I'm going to save those for the gripes video, which I'm going to do next. So the interior overall has good storage. The trunk space has plenty of storage. I can fit golf clubs with the driver in the bag. You can fit it in, which is different than the Camaro. And although you could fit them in the Mustang, so the trunk space is adequate. It works out well. You can drop the seats down and they fold flat, and you can put all kinds of stuff. So I like the utility of it being a coupe. The only thing is if you need those extra doors, as I mentioned, get the sedan. Overall, the interior, I'm going to give it an A minus. The only reason it's not perfect is because it doesn't have a touchscreen, and I've got some quirks with some of the classic BMW gripes that I'll talk about in the gripes video. Okay, number 6, the transmission. So the transmission in this car is a 6-speed automatic. I talked about my debate on whether to get an automatic or a manual. So let me first talk about what I did buy. So as I found the sport mode, or they call it the DS in this system, the ability to direct shift in kind of the sport suspension mode is fantastic. I love driving this car with the dynamic traction control and the sport transmission kind of engaged. It is dynamic and fun to drive. It's so crisp with the suspension. I love driving this car. With that said, the only thing that I wish I had done, and I'm going to say this, I wish I had gotten the manual transmission. If you're considering it and you're on the fence, get the manual. It's better. But then again, some days when I'm stuck in traffic, I love that I can just not pay attention. Okay, number 5, I would normally talk about the modern safety features. This vehicle does not have a backup camera, it does not have backup or front sensors, so parking sensors. It does not have blind spot monitoring. It does not have forward collision prevention, doesn't have adaptive cruise control. It doesn't have a lot of the modern safety features, but it is still a very safe vehicle. It is highly crash rated, it has a lot of airbags all over the place, anti-lock brakes, a lot of the things that are now standard and we just take for granted, even though this car is only 8 years old. And so while it doesn't feature a lot of the modern safety tech that I talk about in some of my other reviews, it still is a safe vehicle. I do find it funny how I really don't need the backup camera. If you simply, go dad mode, turn your head back, take a look at what's behind you, you don't need a camera, and we've become so reliant on them. And so I like the reminder when I drive this car. Of course, it helps that it's so small and easy to park. But overall, the safety on this vehicle doesn't have any of the modern tech. So if you're looking for that, that might be something you'll find in a later or a newer version of the Beamer. All right, before I continue with the list, if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. Click that subscribe button, like this video, and check out some of my other reviews. I do car, truck, and SUV reviews. I'm just a normal guy. I give my opinion on the cars, trucks that I drive, rent, and own. Let's get back to the list. All right, number 4 is the Idrive. So with this generation or this year, Idrive at the time was considered very advanced. They kind of led the way for a long time on intelligent driver-car interaction. And so the Idrive system was built around that. You have this small circle, so you have these scrolling menus with the blades. You can go back and forth. There's lots of places to kind of go deep into the different menus. It's really just like a Windows system where you have folders. So you start off in the main folder, you go down to the next level, pick which one you want, go down to the next level, all the way across all the different things. And then down here you've got some easy buttons which take you to, CD, or in my case it'll take you to the auxiliary system, which is Bluetooth or the hardline USB port. Radio includes XM. You've got your phone, which again, it does have Bluetooth capability. They started that several years before this car. Nav system, if it's equipped, you've got the navigation button. So I like that it has the quick shortcuts here, unlike my Mercedes that you have to actually swirl the dial. And so the infotainment system is good for the year, but we've come a long way in a really short amount of time. And so I wouldn't buy this car for the infotainment system. I wouldn't even worry about it too much. As long as you got what you need, which is phone connection and probably music. Those are two things that are important for most people, which I think you would get on any level. So I wouldn't worry too much about having that iDrive system versus some of the other options to look for in a used Beamer. So number 3, let's talk about the engine. So in this E92, I got a 328i. That 6-cylinder is, a smaller displacement 6-cylinder without a turbocharger. They just aren't really something that a lot of companies make anymore, and it's classic BMW. The engine in this car is just smooth, silky. It's so much fun to drive. With that said, it is a little bit underpowered, and I do find myself wishing I had more power. I'm not going to say that I wish I got the 335i because the turbos and some of the maintenance issues that go with that, but at the same time, I do kind of wish I did. So I would not compare this engine to the 335i. I would compare this engine to the 4-cylinder found in the base 328i of the F30, and I think this engine is far superior. You don't have a turbocharger. It has got that silky smooth power band, whereas that F30 4-cylinder, you got to get the RPMs way up before you feel like you have power. It really feels underpowered, and so if you compare the two, I think this is the better engine. All right, number 2, so this isn't really a gripe, but the miles per gallon. So I've seen an average of 23.7 miles per gallon. Now, that would be great if that was combined. The problem is that's mostly highway miles. I have been disappointed in the miles per gallon that I've seen out of the 328i engine. Now, again, it's probably not the engine's fault. It's probably more about how aggressively I tend to be on the throttle, especially when I'm not on the highway. And so I average 23.7 miles per gallon, which is mostly highway. But I'm wondering, what are your miles per gallon? What are you guys seeing out of your 328i E90 series? So leave a comment, let me know. I'm just curious if you've seen better or worse. Overall, I've been a little disappointed in the miles per gallon, but I'm not sure I can blame the car as much as it is my foot. All right, and then the number one thing you need to know is how is this car to drive? So I would challenge you to find a better driving car in this, I'll give you 2 years on either end at this price range. I think that this car is one of the best driving, feeling driver's cars. You get the sport suspension, the hydraulic steering. It is crisp. It's so much fun to drive. Again, I challenge you. Leave a comment. Let me know if you think that there's something that's better to drive. And I don't mean faster or quicker. I'm talking about the feeling of the connection between the driver and the car. I just think that that's what sets BMW apart. And this is probably the last car where they really led the pack at doing that. Starting with the F30, that really just seemed to stray a little bit with what BMW was targeting with this with the 3 Series. So all right, so my final comments on this solid driver's coupe. If you're considering an E90 series of any kind, I recommend buying it. However, only if you are after that driving experience, that feeling connected to the road. You enjoy the driving aspect of driving. If you're looking for a commuter car or a car that you can beat up or anything like that, I would probably stay away from this car because you have to do the preventative maintenance, or else, as the name goes, BMW is going to plague you, not because Beamers are not reliable, but because as they get older, people don't want to spend the upfront money to do the preventative maintenance. And then they end up having to do the back end, full maintenance, and it costs more than the car is worth. And so Beamers get a bad reputation, not because of them, but because of some of the used car buyers who don't take care of the preventative maintenance, which then will cause a BMW to fall off a cliff rapidly in terms of its maintenance costs. So that's my opinion. Take for what it's worth. Leave a comment, like this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. My next video is going to feature the gripes, and there are a few, and some gremlins, especially in the door locks. See you next time. The golden era of BMW. my neighbors are fighting.